So we're on to track 3, Shadow. For this song, I've already shown off all the guitar parts on my older videos on writing riffs, but there are really only 2 riffs here, so I'll go over them again real quick. Like I've said before, the riff is divided into 2 chord families based on common tones. So the main riff. That is E minor to B minor, repeated, to D major, to E with no harmony. Then we move up the harmony from a D major 1-3 to an inverted 3-5 and end on an E power chord. The secondary variation of the song goes like this. The first half of that is just the main riff condensed. To D, E. Now we get to a C with that Lydian tritone 4th to E. And then we end with D to B. So this is overall a very simple riff, but in terms of the structure, there's actually a lot that's actually going on, as you can see with, you know, the rules that I sort of put together, but I also break here and there for aesthetic reasons. In the second verse is also a brief clean section, which is just an inverted D power chord that's strung out. We're playing all the internal strings. And then to an E minor add 9. Then we repeat the D. And then we gradually play up an E power chord from a sort of muted state onto the secondary riff. So for the lyrics, this is a pretty abstract song. Obviously it's about our shadows and the various ways we interact with them. There are a lot of intricate details that are located within each verse, but at the same time they're also pretty obvious. I don't really like to hide messages in my music because I want people to read them. Just some small details that I interject here and there. The opening line, they say that darkness fears the sun, but it creates me. They say that light makes evil run, but it won't take me away. I grow stronger by the day. So the opening line I feel is a very strong line. It's sort of the setup for this, and I just really like the way it's put together. They say that darkness fears the sun, but it creates me. So it's this sort of counterintuitive idea with how the shadow is created by the presence of the sun. The line following that, when you lie down to rest at night, I will embrace you. When sleep falls down upon your eyes and darkness takes you away, let it claim us both. Again, we just have these ways that the shadow interacts with light. The first part of the verse being about how it's created by the sun, and the second part how it's taken away by darkness when we go to bed and sleep. The secondary part is this sunset sunrise analogy, something that I'm a huge fan of in music and I really love using in my own songs. As the waning light descends beneath the sky, my fate spelled by the stars to fade into the dark. So that just reiterates the previous statement. But when the night recedes, a newborn light succeeds against the reborn sun. my reincarnation. So again, we have this whole idea how the shadow, which is this darkness that's a part of us, is actually created and very much related to the sun, which is this bringer of light. After that, we have our verse 2. It's sort of a half verse. With every step that you take, I will remake it. With every attempt to evade, I will retrace it to you. There's no escaping. It's basically talking about how we try to run away from our shadows. You know, it's obviously not something that we do intentionally, but if you consider our shadows to sort of be our demons or the darkness that's a part of us, you know, it's a way that we keep trying to run away from it, but in the end it catches up to us. It's always following behind us. Finally, we get to the last section, the chorus, but not really a chorus, secondary verse. I am the sign of life, a sapling in the light, as one we grow and rise, aging old and ripe. And there's a bit of interplay there between some of the lyrics. Of course, a sapling it grows in the sunlight, and at the same time, light is what causes it to cast its shadow. And, you know, just some terms like ripeness, which is something that happens with plants, but it's an analogy for what happens as we age as well. And then just the last couple lines. But as we count the years, the final hour draws near, buried by sands of time, alone just you and I. So obviously the sands of time refer to the hourglass, and how when the sands run out and our time runs out, where, you know, the only thing that we're really left with in the end is our shadow when we're buried into the ground. So the ultimate message of this song is that our shadows, they're the only things that really belong to us. It's a consequence of physics, but yes, it's there from the moment we're born to the day that we die. We can try to run away, but our shadow, this darkness, it's always going to be a part of who we are. It comes and goes, but you never really get rid of it until that final nail hits the coffin, and then, you know, that's it.